Right guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks since my last video. We've just had Christmas and New Year, so Happy New Year. But yeah, I thought I'd have a bit of a break from making the videos and actually a break from the fishing as well, just spend a bit of time with family and all that sort of thing. But we're now in January and we're back on it. So I've come down to my local club water just for an overnighter really. Hopefully I can winkle out a fish, but it's gone really cold. It's supposed to be down to -2 tonight, so not all that hopeful. But yeah, this video I thought I would talk a little bit about keeping warm in the winter, because we're properly in winter now. It's really cold, and I've got a few little things that help me get through. So we're coming into the evening now, so we'll probably talk to you in the morning about you know, the winter gear, and also I want to update you on the competition. If you've seen my recent videos, we've got a subscribe competition, so if you subscribe to the channel I'll enter you in, and I've got a couple of really good prizes that have now been sent to me. I've got a mystery box from Richworth. I originally told you it was going to be like 3 kilos of bait and some pop-ups, but they've sent me a box, and I don't know what's in it yet. I haven't opened it, so we're going to be opening that for you tomorrow. A bit of a sort of a surprise, so you'll find out what the prize is. And also from Angling Iron, I've got a jiffy bag full of end tackle from Angling Iron, and again I'm not sure what's in there, so we're going to open that for you as well. So you're going to want to stay tuned to see what you can win in the competition, and make sure you subscribe to enter the competition. So yeah, coming into the evening, got the rods out, 3 rods out just on my normal sort of withy pool pop-up rigs, and yeah, we're going to kick back, have some food in a minute, and see what the night brings. First carp of the year, guys, come on, let's get it out and take a look. Well guys, what can I say, 2nd of January, so first session of the year for me. Really cold, 2 degrees or something like that. There's no frost about, so it's not, you know, it's not that cold, but I had all my layers on, let's put it that way. Tucked up in my sleeping bag, just about to fall asleep, and my left hand rod has absolutely melted off. Ran out in my socks, and then sort of scrambled back to get my boots on because realised it's quite muddy. And yeah, we've managed this carp, which can only be described as an absolute scaly banger. Not something I say very often, but wait till you see this one. A very nice way to start 2019, and there you go. I think this is one of the more recent stockings into this lake here. It looks like one of Mr. Simmons' finest scalies that he's been producing, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It went £21 10 ounces, this one. Caught on a Richworth yellow honey Yucatan pop-up over the Escort. Not really tried those before, but I wanted something yellow to fish over the Escort, and the honey Yucatan seemed to match perfectly, so that's what I put on. And yeah, it's around about the middle of the night, very cold as I said, and yeah, absolutely over the moon to open my account for 2019. So yeah, I'll flip you around, show you the other side, and let's get that rod back out and hopefully have another one before the morning. There we go then guys, gorgeous linear scales on this one, and looks like it's got a lot of potential to be a big fish in the next few years, this one. £21 10, over the moon. So if I don't get any more fish tonight, I'll speak to you in the morning about my tips for keeping warm in the winter, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the tactics for this capture and everything, and then we'll show you the competition prize before we go about lunchtime tomorrow. So stay tuned if you've entered the competition to find out what you could win, and remember to subscribe if you do want to enter the competition. Right, let's get him back. Well, good morning guys. Well happy with that, to get my first fish of the year. It's nice to be off the mark so early into the new year. And actually my first ever fish on one of the Richworth honey Yucatan pop-ups. So I'll definitely be using those a little bit more. I just changed from my normal sort of white pop-ups or the original ones, just because I fancied a bit of yellow over the top of the Richworth S-Core bottom baits, because I know there's been a bit of maize going into this lake, and so I thought yellow might be a bit of a natural colour for them. Although I did have the bite in the night time, so I don't know if colour makes that much of a difference, but you know, it just gives me confidence, and it seemed to work, so happy days. Very cold again last night, and this morning don't think it's going to get much more than about 4 degrees today, so that sort of brings me nicely into the main topic of this video, and that is keeping warm in the winter. So I'm going to be here till about lunchtime today, so stay tuned. A little bit later on we're going to be talking about all the gear and what you need to stay warm in the winter, and then I think, as I said yesterday, going to be revealing that competition prize for you. Going to be opening the mystery box from Richworth. Who knows what's in there? It's definitely more than the 3 kilos of bait that I originally thought they were going to give us. It's quite a heavy box, so stay tuned to see what's in there, and also the jiffy bag from Angling Iron with some end tackle in there. I've got a rough idea what's in there, but yeah, feels like a very generous amount of end tackle as well, so yeah, stay tuned. That'll be right at the end of the video. I might do that sort of when I go back to the car, just because you know, the box from Richworth was quite heavy. I didn't want to sort of bring it down to my swim, so I'll probably show you that just as I'm loading the car to go. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and in a minute I'll just sort of talk you through how I've fished on this session, sort of why I've chosen, where I've chosen, and the tactics that I've used to catch that fish last night. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to stick the kettle on and I'll speak to you in a minute. Right guys, as promised, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my tactics for the session and why I chose the swim that I'm in. So on New Year's Eve, about 3 days ago, I came down to the lake just for like a short lure fishing session. You know, I just fancied something a bit different, nice and easy, not too much gear needed, you know, and a bit of fun, keep mobile, walking around the lake. Managed a couple of small pike, which was nice, and lots of fish followed the lure, so that was fun. I might sort of do a video on that a bit later this year, just for a change, you know. So yeah, whilst I was pike fishing, I was obviously like watching the water all the time, and I did see what I thought was a couple of carp showing in this area of the lake. We're sort of in the middle of the lake roughly, where it starts to pinch in a little bit. It goes a bit narrower, so it's a bit of a pinch point to sort of intercept the carp, if you like, as they patrol up and down. And yeah, where I thought I'd seen the fish, I thought, well, I'll come down and have a go for the carp, because if they are in that area, you know, it could set me up for the rest of the winter, sort of thing. So here I am in this swim. I went for sort of fairly simple tactics, just my withy pool rig with the honey Yucatan pop-ups, and first time I used them, but you know, I fancied a bit of yellow. I've been using sort of white a lot, and I know there's a bit of maize going into this lake, so I thought yellow would be a good colour to kind of match with that. and yeah, and just fished on a couple of silty spots that I know, that I found with the marker on a previous session. And yeah, it's paid off, and we've had our first carp of the year, a lovely £21.10 scaly mirror, so well happy with that. And just shows you, simple tactics in the right place is all you really need at any time of year, but especially in the winter you don't want to overcomplicate things. Just stick with what works and try and find a fish. And I was lucky enough to see the fish when I was pike fishing, so came back and fished for them, and there we go, job done, sort of thing. So that's my tactics and why I've chosen where I have for this session. Probably going to stay till lunchtime or just after. So in a minute we're going to run through some of the gear that you need to stay warm in the winter, and a couple of tips that I do, and some of the equipment, just to kind of make it more comfortable and more enjoyable for you through the winter, so you hopefully keep going and keep catching fish. Right guys, so keeping warm in winter. Firstly, we'll talk about clothing. You've probably heard this a lot before, but it is all about layers. The thing with layers is you can always take one off if you get too hot, but also in between the layers you trap a layer of warm air, which kind of keeps you insulated and warm. So what I like to have first is a nice thermal base layer. Something like a merino wool is really good because it's moisture wicking, so it keeps away the moisture. It dries quickly, but it's also highly insulating. So it doesn't really matter on the brand, just try and get something merino wool. I actually got mine from Aldi last winter. I went snowboarding and Aldi had a special on kind of snowboarding gear, and I picked them up for about 15-20 quid or something like that, and they've been brilliant. So keep an eye on Aldi if they do another deal on those merino base layers. But lots of other places do them. Just have a little Google search. Next, I like to have a kind of a mid layer, so that might be something like a fleece, not really anything cotton. Apparently cotton's really bad. It kind of it sort of absorbs sweat and things, and then it kind of stays damp, and that kind of makes you cold as that moisture cools down. So you want to try and avoid cotton if you can. So I think synthetics and wool are really good fabrics to be using. So some sort of mid layer, a fleece, or a really nice hoodie. I've got one of the on the beaten track hoodies, which I didn't realise was so good, but it's got like a fleece lining on the inside of it, and that traps a layer of warm air, and it's really nice and chunky, so something like that's really good. And then finally, for your third layer, you want a nice warm coat, and I've got salopettes as well, so they come up to your chest, and you've got like straps over your shoulders, and then the coat goes down over that, so it kind of seals in the warm air around your sort of mid area, your waist. Because I used to not have salopettes, and then you get cold where your sort of jumper meets your trousers, if you like. So it's good to have that overlap there, just to kind of keep the warm air in, because as your body warms up, the sort of air inside your clothes, if you keep that in, it's like having a blanket of warmth around you, so it's really nice. And then on top of like your sort of 3 layers, I've got like thermals on my legs, and my salopettes, which are kind of thermal, and then my 3 layers on top. And then you want to have things that kind of keep the heat inside those clothes. So what I've got here is a snood, and that's just like a sort of a tube of material that kind of goes around your neck, but it also kind of seals the top of my jumper and my coat, so that the air can't kind of escape out of there when I move around and stuff. So that kind of keeps that in, and if I get really cold, I can put it over my face like that. Won't do it now because you'll probably laugh at me. So yeah, a snood or a scarf, something like that, just around your neck. And also a hat. Apparently you lose 70% of your body heat through your head, so it makes sense to wear a hat, something nice and warm. I actually wear mine to sleep in as well, because I don't put my head inside my sleeping bag. so I need something to keep my head warm while I'm asleep. You know, you do get frosty nights, and you don't want to wake up with, you know, your nose has got frostbite or something like that. So yeah, keep as warm as you can at night. So yeah, as far as clothing goes, it's all about the layers. You can get fingerless gloves for your hands if you want, so you can still kind of work with them. I don't normally bother, but you know, it depends how cold your hands are. Some people have got, you know, not as good circulation as others. So yeah, hat, something on your neck, layers on your body, and then your feet. You want some merino wool socks. Something about merino wool, it just helps to sort of keep your feet dry, but also insulated and warm. And I've actually found that you don't want something too thick, because it can make your feet too sort of tight in your boots. So that can kind of cut off the circulation and leave you with cold toes, you know. So get some nice sort of like mid-weight merino wool socks, and then wear boots that are a good fit for you. You don't want them too tight, because it can actually squeeze your feet and stop the circulation and make them cold. And also, if you wear too thick socks, your feet will actually sweat, and then that moisture will get cold, and in turn make your feet cold again. So you've got to kind of experiment, and it's a bit sort of personal preference with your footwear, really. I've got some of the North Face Chill Cat boots, which are really, really good. I think they're about 80 quid, something like that. And I've actually worn them in the snow when I went to France snowboarding last year, and my feet were still warm. I do get kind of chilly toes now and again, but you can always get up and walk around, you know, and that sort of helps to warm you up again. Now, as far as my bivvy goes, I haven't got my winter skin on today, but if it gets really, really cold, you know, like sort of icy conditions, it's good to have a winter skin on your bivvy. It just kind of helps trap a layer of air in between the two skins, and it stops condensation, and it keeps it a bit more insulated. And also, a ground sheet is invaluable in the winter because it stops that moisture rising up from the ground. So it sort of keeps you in a bubble, if you like. You know, keeps the sort of warm air in and stops the moisture. And also, if your feet are sort of on a ground sheet, you know, you're less likely to get the cold coming up through the ground and making your feet cold. So ground sheet's really good in the winter. I never bother in the summer with the ground sheet, even if it's wet. You know, I don't really care about the mud. It's just one less thing to carry in the summer, but definitely in the winter it's worth using a ground sheet. So other things then that I use, I've got a bivvy heater. You might have seen in my last video or the one before that, I did a review of the Sungas parabolic heater. That's really good on a cold night, so check out that review in my previous video. I'll put a link below for that. And I was actually using that last night because it was getting a bit chilly, and it's just nice to warm your hands on if you've got to do something like tie a rig or put a new bait on or something like that. And actually, you know, it can warm up the air inside your bivvy and just make it nice and warm before you go to bed. But make sure you turn it off when you do go to bed, because it's pretty dangerous otherwise. But you'll see that in the video if you watch it about that heater. Also, it's nice to have lots of hot drinks in the winter. I've got a thermal mug which keeps my drink nice and warm. You know, if you use a normal china mug this time of year, it probably won't last more than about 5 minutes before it's gone cold. So getting something like a thermal travel mug's a good idea. I've got you know, sort of a nice sort of camping one, and it's got a lid on it as well. It's like a sort of a mini flask, if you like. So if you want to put the lid on whilst you deal with the fish or whatever, and you come back to it and it's still nice and warm for you. So that's a good one. I think it's called a Life Venture thermal mug, about a tenner. I found it on eBay, so check that out. That's a good one to have. And yeah, other than that, you know, take some really nice warm food with you. Keep active, you know, keep moving around. There's nothing like sort of walking up and down to kind of warm you up in the winter. And just look after yourself and be safe on the bank in the winter. It's a very enjoyable time of year. The fish are looking at their best. They've got good weights, you know, the colours are really nice on them, and they're definitely worth fishing for in the winter. And it's actually usually a lot quieter in the winter as well, so there's another incentive for going fishing. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful for you. If you've got any ideas about how to keep warm in the winter, or any particular products that you use that you might want to sort of give me a heads up about, leave a comment down below. I'm always interested to hear other people's, methods and sort of gear that I might not have seen. So yeah, make sure you comment and let me know about what you use in the winter, and any techniques, etc., for keeping warm. And yeah, stay tuned for the end of the video when we're going to be revealing the prize bundle, which is pretty decent from what I can tell looking at it. So yeah, thanks very much for listening. And yeah, there may or may not be a fish to show you towards the end of the video, but we're definitely going to be looking at that prize for the competition, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you soon. Right guys, here we go then. This is the mystery box from Richworth, which I can only assume is a load of bait, but let's go ahead and open it and see what's in it, shall we? Okay, here we go. Right, let's have a look what we got then. So that is, I think, a 5 kilo bag of 15mm Estuary boilies. So that's ideal to finish off the rest of the winter. 5 kilos should do you for the next couple of months, I would think. But that's not all, guys. What else is in here? We've got 15mm kg1 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 kilos of 15mm kg1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also some 15mm kg1 pop-ups, some 15mm cork dust Estuary pop-ups, some kg1 dip, and some Estuary dip as well. So I think you'll agree that's a pretty generous prize from Richworth. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to win that. That's 10 kilos of boilies, 2 tubs of pop-ups and 2 bottles of dips. And that's not all, guys. Moving on, we've got the mystery envelope from Angling Iron, so we'll open that next. Right, so let's see what we've got from Angling Iron. This is obviously going to be end tackle. There's a link to their website below. If you've not heard of Angling Iron before, go check them out. Really good end tackle. The hooks are absolutely unbelievable. So let's see what they've sent us for the prize. I'm just going to open this. Hang on. Whoa! Right. Okay, guys. Quite a lot of end tackle in there. Dom at Angling Iron said to me he was going to send all the bits to make the rigs that I use in my videos, so if you want to sort of check out some of my previous videos for the rigs that I use, and then all of these bits will help you to make them. So I'm just going to get that all out and lay it out for you so you can see what it is, and yeah, make sure you subscribe to win it. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll just get this out for you and we'll see what's in there. Right guys, quite a lot of stuff, I think you'll agree. I'll just quickly show you some of the items close up like this. So heli ring swivels and some hooks, that's size 4 curves for your Ronnie rigs, shrink tube, shank stops and bait screws, etc. So everything for a Ronnie rig there, it looks like. And then we've got some slightly smaller curve shanks, which is ideal for a withy pool rig, and some more shrink tubing, some more shank stops, cork plugs, mini hook ring swivels, some chod hooks there, so they'll be good for well, either your chod style pop-up rigs or a hinge stiff. I actually use them for a blowback rig. And these are the heli buffer beads, which I've shown you in a previous video, which I use to make my semi-fixed inline lead, the telltale inline I call it. So yeah guys, I'd hate to think what that would set you back if you wanted to buy it in the shops, but with a chance to win, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel by clicking the red button below the video. So yeah, do that now. I'll enter you to competition, and then towards the end of the winter, next couple of months or so, we'll draw the winner and it could be you. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. Nice to get my first fish of the year. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.